Hello, it's me, Jane Maravilla again, and I'm going to share part 6 of my dreams. And I wanted to remind you that I'm just a housewife that has had some dreams, spiritual in nature, and some spiritual encounters, I guess you could call them. And everything that I share with you, you should take it to Father and Jesus and ask them about it. Anyway, I wanted to read John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. And I wanted to remind you that Jesus is almost here. He's really close. I can feel it, and I know you can feel it. He's not this close. He's this close. So get ready and look up. And Wednesday, November 6th, 2024. This morning, while Lewis and I were watching television, I heard, "Jane, get ready." And last night, I heard the same thing, "Jane, get ready." So I heard it twice. Friday, November 8th, 2024. This morning I had a dream about Jews. In my dream, it was somewhere in the Middle East, and there were Jews, Russians, Greeks, French, and Americans. They all represented their nations. There was this American man, and he represented America. The Russians were giving out ice cream to the Jews, Greeks, French, and Americans, but the ice cream was symbolic of something else. It was like the Russians were trying to make the Jews, Greeks, French, and Americans feel at peace or something. There was some kind of explosion, and he, aka America, almost died. I don't know what caused the explosion, but my guess is that it was a bomb or something. There was an American doctor and her male nurse there. They had this funny-looking contraption that looked like some futuristic helicopter. It looked like something that you might see in some kind of a science fiction movie or something. You know, back in the late 70s, early 80s, when they had these movies that were supposed to be in like now, and they had these things, these far-out, futuristic-looking things that they thought people might have in this time. It was kind of like that. But, I mean, it wasn't like cheesy looking or anything like in the movies. But anyway, so it was like some futuristic helicopter. There were 2 running boards, one on each side, and there was like a shelter type thing that covered what looked like a gurney. So it was like a covered gurney with rotary blades, like a medevac type thing. The doctor and her male nurse put the American guy who represented America into the medevac. They stood on the running boards and took flight. Somehow they made it from the Middle East all the way to the desert of America in a short amount of time. The desert that they were in looked like Nevada. They were trying to save the man, aka America, when he came to. The man was nude, but he was lying partially on his side with his legs closed, so you didn't see anything. Now, I want to reiterate that the man represented America, and his nudity was symbolic of America being naked or exposed somehow. The dream changed, and I was in a swanky 5-star restaurant with my husband Lewis, Mom, and her boyfriend. There was a group of Jews in the restaurant, and they were sitting several tables over. They were having a heated argument with someone, the Greeks. Mom said to me, "I wonder what's going on," and I told her, "It's the Greeks. The Greeks started it. I saw them start it." The French were watching the fight between the Jews and the Greeks, but they did nothing to help the Jews. They just stood there and watched. I went over to talk to the Jews, and an American man came over and said to me, "Oh, so you hang out with Jews?" Like it was a bad thing. The man, just as the other man in my dream, represented America. I told the man, aka America, they're human beings, and I hang out with human beings. I don't hang out with morons, and that's what you are. The man who represented America really didn't like the Jews. He was very hateful. It was like he was trying to keep me from talking to or spending time with the Jews. That's what it seemed like. And this evening, while I was in the bathroom getting ready to brush my teeth, I heard in a still small voice, "Jane, I'm coming." Again, Jesus is almost here. I can feel it. So, now I want to point all this out. So I have Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. I heard God is coming back. Then, on Thursday, June 6th, 2024, I had the dream about the rapture. Then on Thursday, June 20th, 2024, I heard, "Behold, I come." That's another time. Then I had the dream where that guy, that man in my dream who I think represented God, said, "I will be seeing you soon." And that was on Friday, November 1st, 2024. And then on Wednesday, November 6th, 2024, I heard, "Jane, get ready." And then last night I heard the same thing. "Jane, get ready." I heard it twice. And then here is this. "Jane, I'm coming." That's like 5 times now. Jesus is almost here, everybody. He's almost here. And it's not just me he's talking to. I know he's talking to you too. I'm sure many of you have had the same experiences as me. So he's talking to you too. So I know you feel him out there. I know you can feel him. So we need to get excited because we're almost home. We're going to be spending eternity with an awesome, loving, almighty God who created us in the first place. And then when Adam and Eve did what they did in the Garden of Eden, instead of just wiping us from the planet, he decided to give us a way out. See how loving he is, how awesome he is? And then his son, Jesus Christ, who I believe has always been there, he just wasn't in fleshly body yet. The part of the Bible where Father says, "Let us make men in our image." I think he was talking to Jesus. I mean, that's what I think. And then Jesus agreed to come down. See, Father loved the world so much that he gave his only begotten Son. But Jesus also loved us that he agreed to do it. And he came down and sacrificed himself on the cross for us. So we're going to be with him for eternity. No one is ever going to love us the way they do. I mean, we're going to be chilling, drinking coffee or iced tea or whatever, float your boat. We're going to be drinking it with Father and Jesus. I mean, I cannot wait. There will be no more of this craziness, and we'll be up there for 7 years. And then Jesus is going to come back down and clean house. And you know what's funny? Because Hitler talked about his 1,000-year Reich. He would always say, 1,000-year Reich. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Like I say, I'm more familiar with Russian, because I've been learning it longer. But anyway, Hitler was partially right. There was going to be a 1,000-year Reich, but it wasn't going to be his. It was going to be Jesus Christ's 1,000-year Reich. So we will live in a 1,000-year Reich, but it will be Jesus's Reich. And just so you know, Reich literally translates roughly into rule. So it's a 1,000-year rule, and it does say in the Bible Jesus will have a millennial reign. And Reich also can translate into rule or reign. So I stand corrected. Jesus will have a 1,000-year Reich. So Hitler was right in the sense that there was going to be a 1,000-year Reich, but it wasn't going to be his. And boy, I'm glad. Now, I'm going to love living in Jesus' 1,000-year Reich. So anyway, Monday, November 11th, 2024. Last night, and again, the Navy was in my dream. Last night, you see, before I dreamt that Chris Estep was holding up Navy flag next to the American flag. Last night, I dreamt about the U.S. Navy. I was in my mom's minivan, but she wasn't in the van with me. She went somewhere. We were in the desert of Arizona. Again, I dreamed about the desert. And here's what's weird. There were all of these Navy people in the desert of Arizona, and it looked like they were gearing up for war. This Navy man wearing desert collar and Navy fatigues showed up. For some reason, the bottom of his fatigues were shorts. They reminded me of the shorts the British and German soldiers wore in World War II in Africa. The Navy man had an armful of files. He gave the files to the men and women in the Navy. When they read the files, they got very serious. So before, they were kind of like joking around and grinning and laughing, but when they read the papers, they became dead serious. And I think in the dream it was their orders. There was this teenage girl, and she was crying because her daddy, who was in the Navy, had just told her that he was being deployed, that they were going to war. And she didn't want her dad to go to war. She was afraid that he'd die. I saw this white material or something, and it was weird because it was like in your grill type of thing. It was this white material, like cotton. It reminded me of the kind of material that they make those washable, or they used to make washable baby diapers out of. It was that kind of material. It was a white cotton, but it wasn't a diaper. It was just that kind of material, and it just was like right there in my face in the dream. And it had a dark red spot of blood on it in the middle. And I don't know what that was about. The dream changed, and Mom and I were sitting in her minivan in the parking lot of Ollie's, of all places. I think we were here in Joplin, Missouri. There were all of these Navy people in the parking lot. They were everywhere. I was telling Mom that the U.S. Navy was getting ready for war, and Mom told me that she noticed that too. We were talking about our Navy going to war like it was a completely normal thing. My dream changed. There was a Navy man in an elevator with his wife and son. They were going to an underground bunker or something. Then a man who was some kind of terrorist climbed into the elevator from the top hatch. The terrorist tried to kill them. The Navy man killed the terrorist. Then he took a nuclear bomb from a compartment in the thick elevator and told his wife, "We're going to use this." So that was kind of weird.